So this is the iPhone 11, came out about 1 year ago, and I've been experiencing this phone all year. And in this episode, I want to explain to you what it's been like to use the iPhone 11 over the span of a year. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 11, 1 year later. Let's begin with the key specs. We have a 6.1-inch Retina LCD. This is a liquid Retina by Apple's claims here. We do have aluminum body on board, 12 megapixel dual camera, 4K 60 recording, 4 gigs of RAM, Apple A13, 3110 milliamp hour battery. Now moving on to the design of this phone. Over a year, I really enjoyed how just sturdy this phone has felt. You have aluminum trim all the way around the edges. The camera bump is not that thick, so it doesn't stick off the phone too much. Not a lot of rocking on this phone. Yeah, it's not the matte back of the iPhone 11 Pro, but that glass back, the way it's just colored with the different multiple colors you can get with this phone, just always felt like a nice option, very premium. Yeah, the phone is a little bit thicker than some of the older iPhones, but that gives it this feeling of just sturdy. So overall, just a very rock solid phone. I just noticed a couple of scratching on the screen, a little bit easy. Other than that, pretty good. Now running over to the display, 1 year later, I gotta say, I really liked the iPhone 11 Pro's brightness a little bit more. 625 nits. This one didn't get quite as bright, but at least it featured dark mode, even though it's on an LCD panel. Did like that. And also True Tone and Night Shift are, of course, here for this phone. We don't have ourselves, 3D touch, but it does have a haptic press. Unlike when the 10R launched, this one automatically had kind of a haptic press type feature for it. So that's pretty nice. Now, I will say again that when it comes to overall outdoor usability and brightness, it wasn't that bad. But again, I still like the 800 nits of the other phone of the iPhone 11 Pro. But you can see video on this phone. Also, again, it won't get to the 4K levels. It's not the sharpest. If you can see around the edges of this phone, the bezels are a bit thicker than some of the other iPhones in the lineup, but you only really notice this when you're comparing it. So I think for everybody who's going to be buying this, they probably won't care about this too much, and you can pinch back down to get just a regular video experience on this phone. So while you're not getting the sharpest video out there, the sharpest display, it's definitely plenty enough to just go ahead and enjoy the display that is provided. Text on this phone as well, 326 ppi, not the sharpest. Again, a lot of other phones are way sharper. This is pretty old school ppi for the iPhone. On the whole, display also is not quite as smooth because it doesn't have the 120 hertz refresh rate as some other phones out there, but because Apple's iOS is pretty smooth, you don't notice it too much. Overall, display, I wanted to cover this a lot because it seems to be always one of the key points of iPhone 11. I think has been pretty great over the year. Even though it doesn't have the most premium features, I still like the display for the iPhone 11. Now, talking about software. Software with the iPhone is basically, you're getting software support for years at this point. This is one of the main draws of the iPhone experience, is that software. Now, I will say that I'm really happy to state that with the iOS 14 that's coming, I kept this one on the official, that widget support is going to make this phone even better here for the iPhone 11. Smooth as butter. There's not a lot of other software experiences out there that really just give it the same, level of smooth. So I really do like that. And then we also do have the nice pro features that we see in the iPhone 11 Pro within the camera. Other than that, the experience between this and the 11 Pro is identical, which is really saying something. And one of the reasons why you might just want to consider this instead of an 11 Pro if you're waiting for these prices to come down post iPhone 12. Talking about performance, the Apple A13 is something of a charm. No matter what you're doing, you're not going to have any issues. Yes, I seem to not be able to tap correctly today, but you're not going to have any issues on the performance side of things with the iPhone 11, except for one area. You will have some reloads on apps sometimes due to 4 gigs of RAM. That's just not a lot of RAM in 2020, so that might happen on the phone. But when it comes to the storage for the iPhone 11, 64 gigs seems to be running low. I actually was getting around 50 something. I actually had to delete some stuff. So I definitely would consider the 128 gigabyte capacity if you're planning on keeping this for any substantial amount of time, because this 64 just seems to be running low. It just doesn't seem to be the most storage that we can use here in 2020 based on how we use our phones these days. Now, I will say one thing, the cameras, I'm not going to cover the software. We've done that plenty of times. have been absolutely incredible. This phone right now that's shooting this video is the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I'm using essentially the same camera lenses except for that one right there, the telephoto, which I just punched in. Other than that, it uses the same wide and ultra wide angle. So take a look at some of the samples I took over the year with the iPhone 11, and you can decide for yourself if you want this camera in your pocket. Okay, so here is 1x. We are in the regular wide here. We're not in ultra wide. I'm gonna back it up here and show you what an ultra wide angle might look like. Now, you see how far I am from that actual video? I'm gonna come right up by the ledge. Now let's switch it over to the ultra wide, right up by the ledge. All right, so let me show you where the iPhone 11 starts to fall apart. It's when you zoom in, you don't usually retain the same amount of detail. So you can see things are a little bit more noisy. Now they're not bad, but you can only go 3x here on video, and you see that you do lose quite a bit of detail versus when I come back out 1x, it looks just fine. So that's one thing I don't like about the 11 is the telephoto just falls apart with the overall quality compared to something like the 11 Pro. Okay, so now we're a lot closer to the flowers, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you how it looks when you're very close to the actual flowers or something that was in the distance. This is where you do get good quality for the 11. Now, I will state one thing. The battery life on this phone has been absolutely good. I'm not going to say incredible because the 11 Pro Max is better. Of course, I'm talking about that. It's one of my favorite iPhones. But, the battery life on this one has been well enough to get me through a day. And I think the average user who's going to be buying the iPhone 11 are going to be very impressed with the battery life because the 10R was the prior phone to this, and it was very impressive as well. Again, there are phones that have gotten better battery life in the iPhone lineup, but this one is getting through the day. And that pretty much is what matters here, I would say, in terms of your experience. In addition, connectivity on this phone has been blazing fast to connect to Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi performance has also been acceptable. Phone call quality surprisingly better than the 10R, but not the best in the industry still. Samsung phones I find still better than this current edition of the iPhone and connectivity, but the stereo speakers were pretty good as well for this phone when listening to audio tracks and stuff like that. The iPhone 11 1 year later. Is it something you should consider picking up? And I say yes if you're not willing to buy the latest and greatest iPhone, especially if the price starts to come down. But if the new 12s are around the same price, I probably would just spring for that. But 1 year later, the phone overall, there's not many complaints. Besides, I just want to see an upgraded display. So thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here, and peace.